slummish type of housing. But I fear don't go in there one land they're browsing. Let inspiration about to fix this thing be arousing. Don't expect the powerless leaders in power to do nothing. Right, so we need the whole thing. Do more things to blind the sight, and it is not working. That is not Christ, look alike Leonardo painting. Promise that Christ is a black Nazarite, but it seems like a shocking thing. Go bow down to the black virgin when no one is looking. We refuse all of their foolish indoctrinating. All of them don't know the truth, and it is just hurting them. But you can't help us fake Jesus, neither can a white system.
Sisters in our community, welcome to Find Your Voice. Yes, the legacy of Brother Dougie lives on. I'm Tamra Gabrielle, and in the studio with me we have an empress by the name of Itricia.
Itricia Xpressioness.
Yes, empress. And she's here with us to look at lockdown and its effects, and also the detox that we need from lockdown, and of course anything else that comes up. We'll be here. We're looking for solutions basically in our community. There's a crisis, and it's a global one now. It's not only just a community crisis, it's a global crisis, but we have to get our community together, and we'd like to know how you feel. What have you been going through with the lockdown? How have you been handling the lockdown? And how do you propose to move on from lockdown? Are we going to change our ways for the better? Are we going to go back to the way we were? Or are we going to do nothing at all? Yes, and the number to call in is 07944 31366. Yes, it's right, Trisha.
Yes, greetings. Let us start by saying it is an honor. It's an honor and a privilege to be here, doing and continuing the works of our almighty brother, our almighty brother, who in this moment, we can feel the energy of Brother Dougie. This was his position. We only come to continue the works, and as you, the extended family, to help us build the future. As it's been said here, and the last time I was here with my brother Dougie and myself, and we were talking about the family, we were talking about the vision, and really that's the works we're still continuing. So today, as it has been said, my brother has just said, we need to look at our focus, our vision. It's important for us to really take stock of what we feel within. And fear is said to be false evidence appearing real. And when one digs deep within, we can feel that fear, but we're still almightyful to control that fear. So with whatever is going on in your realms, in your life today, know one thing, that you are not alone. And the ancestors and the universe are cheering you on to become your greater self.
Sister Itricia, I'm sure a lot of our people out there would like to know, well, how do you overcome your fears?
The relationship with oneself. We're living in an environment, that has taken us away from the core of who we are. We know we didn't go to school and weren't say, the first lesson you're going to get is a lesson about who you are. Everything that we've been taught has been outside of ourselves. So one thing I know, and I think we all feel, whether we're fearful or not, is that this that we've been going through, whatever it is, lock up, I don't know, whatever you call it, it's giving us all an opportunity to do something different, to feel something different. And because of the time in the astrological realms, we know it has been said that we're dawning a new age, the age of Aquarius. And we have been on that journey for some time, but we're coming into that peak. And also we know that a time like this would have come where it has been said this will be the spiritual warfare. So if that is all, let's just say, let's get creative with our minds and say, for all that we know about life, we knew deep within the core of ourselves that we were coming to something. Let's say we're here. What are we going to do? We're going to develop a relationship with self. This is the opportunity to dig deep, ask questions, grow self-love. And I know it's not easy if you don't know it, but there's so much things in our world out there, out on our external world, that we can be part of. Community. We have been, for ourselves, we know for Bless Radio, it's a community. All of our radio stations are communities. They give us substance, they give us healing. These are the things that we have to take and internally do the work with. And so that relationship with self is the first place, you know.
So, to overcome our fears, we first have to love ourselves.
Ah,
Yes, I would go further and say love our Creator. Well, I couldn't love myself without loving my Creator, really, because without, where do I get that love from? I was created out of love, so I have to love the one that created and yes, love, and it's been corrupted these days, the word love, because people tend to think it's a me thing rather than. So, how would you go about loving yourself?
appreciating your good, your bad, and your ugly. You know, the first thing, you know, when I'm working, because I do a lot of work in the community, and I do as a creative life coach, that is a label that I gave for the work that I do years ago. I now have changed my stance to calling myself an expressionist. And I don't know where the name came from, but the ancestors were speaking and gave me that name and said, call yourself an expressionist. And I had the conversation, I asked the question back, why an expressionist? And they said, then you will stay true to the expression that you are having in any given moment. And I went, wow, that's deep, right? And it was just something to keep myself on course. So one of the first things I do when I'm working with young people is I first ask, who's your best friend? And it's amazing, everybody looks outside for a best friend. And I say, your best friend has to be yourself.
Yes.
And it's that relationship where can you look in the mirror at yourself? These are, things that we do. But when we look in the mirror, are we looking at ourselves or are we looking for ourselves? There's a difference. When you're looking at yourself, that's kind of superficial, isn't it? I'm just looking at how I look. Do I look good?
Yeah,
and even sometimes that can be frightening.
Mm.
Sometimes you can look at yourself and go, whoa, is that me today? I'd prefer not to look. But you learn to love that place. You learn to love, how you're looking at all times. But the relationship that I'm talking about is looking for yourself. You get a lot of messages from your eyes, looking deep within your eyes. You get a lot of relationship from, just looking at and appreciating and speaking to yourself. And we all do it differently. There isn't a formula.
A lot of people were called, well, tell us about the formula. I was just going to say, when people are seen talking to themselves, they're normally classed as insane. I remember that from a child. But we know it's not an insane thing to do. It's having a relationship with oneself, breaking through that fear barrier again that we're talking about. So what's your formula for interacting with yourself?
So there are many voices, yeah? So
you've got to make sure you're talking to the right one.
That's it. Because, there's that the voice that will always put you down. And that voice that will always put you down because it makes you feel down. Just before I came here, I was speaking to my granddaughter, and she was a little bit emotional. And I checked with her mum, and she said, over the last couple of days, she has been a little bit upset, easily upset. So I asked her if she knew where the feeling was coming from. And she said, no. And I said, it's okay. You don't have to know where it's coming from. You just have to be aware of it. And then you have to sit with it, and speak to it. And see whether there's something that goes beyond that place that might hold the key to what it is that's really going on within.
So you say, why are you crying?
Yeah,
why am I in pain?
Why am I?
Why am I fearful?
Ah.
Why am I anxious?
Yes.
You know, why am I doubtful? Why am I procrastinating?
Yeah.
You know, why am I lazy?
Why am I lazy? Why am I lazy?
Or why am I overworking?
Yes. All of these things, because, you know, we have so many things that we have taught into our psyche that have become our learnt behaviours. And we try to justify, you know, some of these things. Well, I'm always doing that, or I'm not always and you know what I find that is also helpful is to look at what you eat, because a lot of emotion is highlighted from some of the foods that we eat. If we know, you know, I've done many a test on myself, you know. I know when I go on a sugar rush, what it does, and how I come crashing down. You know, when I overdo it, everything's good in proportion. You know, everything in its right amount. But, you know, definitely in this period, we have spent more money than ever on food.
Indeed.
On food, it's the number one thing that we're all going overboard with. But what food are you buying? Are you buying live food that heals you? And remember, your body speaks to you. Some days I rise up and I don't know what to eat. And for that reason, I don't eat. I won't eat until my body says, right, have that. Because I know the days where I don't listen to myself and I go and eat something else, it's going to start to do something else. You know, of late, myself and my sisterins, that we hold each other together, we've been fasting. Just doing a fast from, so not eating after 8 o'clock, and then not eating in the rising before 12 o'clock. A good discipline allows the digestive system to have a break. Honours the temple that you live in.
Yes.
These are the things that a relationship with self is about.
Yes, some people might say, well, fasting, isn't that being hard on yourself? Oh, here we go. We've got a call coming in here.
Call coming. Just slide it.
Oh. Yes, hello, come in.
Hello, this is Eche.
Yes, brother Eche. How are you, brother?
I'm doing very well.
I can't hear you.
Oh. Yes, I'm sure you've got something to say here. Can you tell us what line of work you're in?
I'm a college lecturer.
Okay, brother. College
wow.
lecturer. Oh, yes. In business, I heard.
Yes, that's correct.
Indeed.
Excellent.
Yes, brother. Well, so far, so good. Please tell us your views or what you feel about what's going on at this moment. Or from what you've heard, our Sister Itricia was just talking about having a relationship with ourselves, learning to love ourselves, appreciating, accepting ourselves, not being afraid of ourselves even.
I think one of the points that most resonated was the question about best friend.
Yes.
And saying, oh, what about yourself? You know, that's not a perspective that I've heard before, but I can see the wisdom from that. And this is something that I've had to go on this particular kind of journey, you know, being overly critical, and sometimes it even takes a friend pointing that out, because they'll say, the way you talk to yourself, would you talk to me like that? You know, and just kind of having those moments of reflection, and leaning into that self-compassion, self-love. I feel like that's one of the silver linings to be found in this lockdown moment. You know, some people are more kind of outgoing, extroverted. They're always busy out and about. Some people are kind of more attuned towards the introspective, reflective side. And having this opportunity to actually to be still, to listen, to reflect, you know, to actually think about what is it that's important.
Yes.
You know, okay, no gym, right? But then you realize it's not necessarily the gym; it's the movement, the activity, the fitness. So that's what I'm actually. That's a core part of my identity. You know, and I feel like another important takeaway for me anyway, is that word community.
Yes.
You know, there's so much power in that, and the way our society is structured up, you know, very individualistic, you know, very competitive.
Tell me something.
Yes.
Sorry, after we've been living a life of separation, distancing, and so on, how do you think that's affected us? Coming together is going to be even more difficult now, isn't it? Because psychologically, we're looking at each other sort of fearfully. I wonder if they've got any disease, you know, and that leads to fragmenting us in other different areas as well. Well, you know, so it makes it harder for us to come together because now we've got an extra fear, an extra barrier that wasn't there before is now there. You know, I've seen it amongst my brothers and sisters on the buses and the trains which I've traveled. They've moved away from me and things like that. And, you know, yes, and they look very fearful as well. So we see people have been traumatized by this crisis that we've been going through. Just because I may have handled it a bit easier, for me it's because I went to prison. So I know what it's like being locked up in a little, you know, 10 foot by 5 foot, whatever, cell and sitting there all day. And you go into yourself. It's, you know, constant lockdown. That's all you can do is go within yourself and hopefully come out a better person. However, this isn't always the case. As you know, a lot of us go in and out of prison. We never seem to learn. We just keep going back until the bitter end, some of us. But some of us, thank God, we do learn, brother. But yes, I just find that this is something which we really need to address. I think a lot of people out there are wondering how they're going to cope, how they're going to cope. You know, how they're going to cope with life when we're released again into the community, so to speak.
Yeah.
So what can you say about that, brother? Do you have any answers for us on that?
You know what? I haven't actually considered that point that you mentioned about people or the difficulty that might come now trying to bring people together. Perhaps there's something to be said about the use of some of these digital platforms.
Yes.
You know, and those platforms, they're neutral tools. You can use it for upliftment, you can use it for distraction, whatever your intent, but the tool is still there, you know. So what's, I guess, the challenge is connecting with those who are ready to do some work, and I guess maybe people's strategies may have to change. So if something can't be done physically, then okay, what's the alternative? You know, maybe this time could be used for, I guess, planning. You know,
well, it's
bringing resources together.
You think socializing is going to be on the Zoom now? Zoom socializing. A lot of people been having parties in lockdown, and they've even paying entrance fee at certain events in lockdown. You know what I mean? And they're dressing up and so on, and dancing and singing, and you know, you find some of them are living on their own. Is this the way forward now? Is this the way we're going to be socializing? Clubs are going to get closed, and a lot of shops are going to be closed because everything we're going online. So if you want to go to the club, you go online to the club. And so on and so forth. Just like shopping online, and more, it's more and more so. They're eating up the market. This is the face of life changing in general before our very eyes, and we're just walking into a dream, so to speak, and not realizing. I understand that when lockdown is relaxed, that there'll be lots of areas that will be pedestrianized. Certain places where you used to drive before lockdown, you won't be able to drive there after lockdown. I'm waiting to see. There's been laws passed in Parliament during lockdown. That we don't know about, and things like that. It's a new world we're coming out there too. But I'd just like to hear some more on that. Sister Itricia.
Well, we know, everyone knows that nothing's going to be the same as it was. So this is why I said community is going to be important. And like the brother has said, planning for the future. Really looking at what's really important. It's an internal journey that we need to look within to know what our purpose is. What is my purpose? And definitely if you are a parent or a grandparent like myself, and we know that it always followed, the trend would follow that, you come to a stage and now it's the grandchildren, and then you get fearful because you say, well, what is there for the grandchildren? I'm not sure that maybe the inner city environment may be the best for certain kinds of people, maybe we might have to relocate. Everybody has now the opportunity to look at something as anew. It doesn't have to be doom and gloom, none of it. What I say about the outside world is they've got an agenda set and they are railroading straight ahead with their agenda. What agenda have you got set? And this is what we all have to ask ourselves. We can't be looking at somebody else to tell us where we're going. And maybe we've become complacent in that way that we've allowed ourselves to be led. This is the time now to look at where is it and where is it that what was your journey? So, when you're having a relationship with yourself, you go back to childhood and you start to remember some of the things that you said you were going to do. And all of these things help us as individuals to discover more about who we are. So I don't know what's going on out there in that world of the media trying to bombard me with their talk, their agenda. I don't know it. I still go out. I still do what I have to. All right, I don't go out as much as I used to go out because there are some places that I used to go, I can't go anymore. But, like the brother said, like going to the gym and what have you. No, I don't do that much. So I'm online. I do my Tai Chi and my Qigong and my meditation online. I still use one of our centres to do my Tai Chi and meditation.
Can you tell us where that is?
Should I? Yeah. Yeah.
Is it your classes you go?
Yeah. I do on Tuesday. We do a centre, and I'm not going to say the name because okay. But we know we've got our things that are out there, and we have to find a way of doing our thing. If you look on, I'm part of Black People Giving, which is a community-led group who Waewa family, we call ourselves the Waewa family, which is a forward visioning to bringing our people together, to uniting us with the world, not just here, the world. They do a lot of work, but if you Google BPG .org or .com or .com, you can find out about Black People Giving and the Waewa Foundation. You know, we've been doing a lot of work supporting families. We're looking at now creating, some parents have come to us and said they don't feel happy to take their children back to the old way. And so we're looking at homeschooling and looking at all the homeschooling groups that are in the Tottenham area, you know, and it's not just for Tottenham, for anyone that wants to come forward, they can look at Black People Giving, BPG, .com, and follow that trail so that when the homeschooling is established, they can get on board. You know, this is about taking ownership. And, you know, there's such a beautiful feeling when you are in control of your own destiny. You know, and that is part of our healing. So we have been told that mental well-being has skyrocketed. And let's face it, we are all suffering something. You'll be a fool not to think you're not, yeah? But we need to heal.
Absolutely. Brother Etchi, can you elaborate on that?
I'm definitely in agreement on the need to heal.
Well, so we need to heal, but I'd say, well, heal, yes. We heal spiritually, mentally, physically, financially, emotionally, you know, vibrationally, consciously. I mean, lovingly. You know, we need, yes. There's a lot of healing. If I'm an impatient person, I've got to try to be patient. So you've got to heal myself with patience. You know, I guess this has been a good time to look at our defects of character and say, well, I need to cool down with my temper. I need to, be more patient. I need to be more loving. I need to be more tolerant. I need to listen, and things like that. I mean, what do you say, Brother Etchi?
Most definitely. And as important as this work is, there are aspects about yourself that you may not be comfortable actually finding out, delving down certain memories. So there is an aspect that you might find something, okay, this can I actually accept this about me, But in that self-acceptance, then you can now possibly integrate that. Because one thing that I experienced coming off the back of a diagnosis of bipolar disorder, so as difficult as the question ordinarily is, who am I? We're all going through that question. When you throw in these extreme mood changes, so is the depression, is that the true me? Is it the high energy mania? Am I somewhere in between? So it's kind of living this fractured existence. And I feel having this time has allowed me to I guess move to a point where there's a greater sense of wholeness,
Excellent.
So instead of looking at myself at you're part of this, you're part of this, you're part of that, just kind of accepting that all of these possibilities exist within me.
Of course. That's so beautifully said, that is amazing because, I've supported a few ones that go on that journey, you know, where they've given it the label of, you know, bipolar or whatever they want to give the label as. And one sister in particular, you know, I really I just respect. You know, I remember saying to her years ago, I've supported her many times when she's gone on this journey where she goes to this other place. And I remember saying to her, and we have a joke about it now, where I said, at least you can escape and go somewhere. Do you know? and it's that place, and I know I'm not trying to belittle the experience, because I know that she's gone to some frightening places, and in the time that I've supported her, it's been days and time, you know, the time that we've had to work together has been long, like 4 hours on the phone at one time, you know, and fear, great amounts of fear that comes up within that place. But with extended families, like the love of the community or a relationship with others, we can help heal each other. You know, we have it all within us. You know, we know how to hold each other's backs, and maybe that's the thing we don't do so much of because of the chaos of the world that we live in. But we do know how to do that, and we know how to do that well. And I know that, you know, the YAWA and Black People Giving Foundation, I know that they have had those experiences where they have supported ones, where they literally moved into a brethren's yard when he was going on his journey, and they stayed with him for 2 weeks. A whole 2 weeks of his journey. And, you know, someone was saying, oh, he needs to go to the hospital, oh, he needs this or he needs that. And they said, no way. We sit with him, and we show him love, and we embrace him. And when he cries, we'll cry. But, you know, that's who we are. We do those things well. We don't run away from them. We run to them. So this time, I really applaud you to say, you know, that you've been taking the time out to ask the questions with yourself, and some of the feedback you get is not always what you want to hear. But you take a deep breath and you take a gulp and you go, I can still live with me.
Yes, and does that mean when you find out something that you don't like about yourself, yeah, I can still live with that, but what do I do with that discovery? I mean, do I carry on living with that defect, or do I try to uproot it from my system?
You know, the choice is, I mean, pain and hurt looks different for each of us, you know. How deep it goes, that is an individual journey. But I think the most important thing is to know that there are places that you can reach out and get help that is more holistic, that is maybe not so pharmaceutical.
Yes.
That you know, I know when we took my sister in when she was last in a bad place, we took her to a drumming session that they were having in Brixton. And the beat of the drum resonated within her, and at first I didn't know where she was at within herself, and I was a bit resistant to just let her be. But, you know, after a while, I just stood back, and with that standing back, she just went in and she allowed herself, you could literally see that her whole body was consumed with the drumming, and it healed her. It healed, she speaks about it now. She said those dark places, they can. Our music, I watched some reverend in the chat saying that the music we need in this time is reggae music. Yeah. In the lockdown or lock up, whatever you call it, listen to reggae music. And I thought, wow, that is refreshing. Everything we've got, the Almighty made us perfect. We were created perfect. So it's how we heal.
Yes, I found healing in some other ways as well, like writing the things that I'm feeling on paper and so on, taking logs and logs of it day by day, or anytime I feel something, I'll just write it down. Then I can look at myself, and as I go along the day after day, week after week, I can see how I'm progressing and so on and so forth. I mean, to say, there's so many things in having a relationship with myself. For years, I just went for walks in the woods, like practically every day, and hug the trees.
Hugging trees is my thing, yeah.
And sit down underneath them and meditate and so on for an hour or two. And yes, absolutely, it was having a relationship myself, and also a lot of praying as well. Connecting with with our Creator, and crying out and crying out. Let me hear you. I need to obey your voice. I need to be an obedient servant, because I'm not in control, and I'm asking for help. I used to think I was strong and I don't need no help. I only help people, but I don't need no help myself. And, and asking for help is one of the greatest things I've ever learned on this earth, because all of us need help, whether you're a billionaire, whether you're the strongest athlete, whether you're the most spiritual person on the planet. We all need help. We all need help. And when we don't ask for help, this is where things get from bad to worse. And so begging all you beautiful brothers and sisters out there, please ask for help, because I know some people are going through some traumatic moments. Just because I found lockdown pretty, I haven't found it difficult at all. I wouldn't even say it was challenging really for me. It was just like an open prison and so on and so on. There's no guard there to let me in and out of my cell. I had my own keys and so on. I would go to the shop and back. But for other people, I've seen it on the streets. People have been really angry, and yes, in fact, I almost found myself in a fracas with a man, but I didn't respond. I just didn't respond, and it was simply because I said, I was here before you, I'm next. And it exploded, and he cursed me, he swore at me in with some vile talk, and but I didn't respond at all, because suddenly I realized, no, if I go there, I can see what's going to happen, so I'm not going to go there. So I maintained peace of mind and calm, and I went into the bank, and then I expected to see the man by the time I came out the bank, because he was next. He'd vanished, it disappeared. So even he himself must have looked into himself and seen what he had become, and out of shame, got out the way, out of the way completely. So I just find that this lockdown thing, I've heard of people finding it stressful, this distancing, because some people need to congregate with people more than others. Yes, because it's like being in isolation, when you're left in a single cell on your own, and you're not allowed no visitors, and you can't see anybody. It's some people can't handle that sort of thing. And you tell them to pray. They ask, well, how do I pray? And how do you pray?
How do you pray? That's like an individual thing as well, you know.
Yes.
So, like you say, some people might find that writing is their prayer. You know, some people might find singing is their prayer. You know, going on your hands and knees is what we're told. Closing your eyes and speaking inwards is what we're told.
Yes.
But I don't think you can define. That's, you know, because we've had so many journeys here. You can look at yourself as a new soul, an old soul, or a reoccurring soul, or however you see it. I know that there's so much that is in a deeper world within I that it might have looked different then, you know, because meditating, because I meditate a lot, you know, I'm not always happy just to sit still and meditate, because I just go, who invented sitting still to meditate? You know, I am a meditation. And I did read something that was old and ancient to us, which said we're a walking, living, breathing meditation. Our heartbeat, our rhythm is the meditation. So it's not about sitting and going, ding, I'm now going to be still. Most probably now, because of the environment that we're in, we need to center stillness so we can feel it differently. And I get that, because there is something that is beautiful when you're still in the body, but the body is never still because it's internally working. The heartbeat is going, your breath is moving. You know, there's, you know...
Absolutely. I found it for me that sitting still made a big difference to all rushing around all the time, because in city life, you know, you're rushing around all the time, hither and thither, and it sort of brings a balance in my life personally when I sit still for half an hour, even for 10 minutes.
Oh, definitely.
And so on and so on. I think being still, I look at the tree and I say, yes, I'd like to be still like that tree. Let me be a tree and just stand still and you know, root in the ground, take my shoes off, and you know, and things like that, and you know, and feel the air going through my nostrils and into my lungs, and feel my belly, you know, exhale and inhale and exhale and all that stuff, and yes, and feel the sunlight on my face, and a lot of that stuff sometimes is, I was oblivious to that sort of thing for a long time, rushing hither, rushing thither, running after money or whatever it is, trying to get to, you know, the next best, this or that, and so on and so forth. I lost out on a lot, and I think that's a blessing in lockdown, because in the sense that it caused us to stop and appreciate nature a lot more, and notice the sunrise and sunset, and even hear the birds singing, you know.
I love that.
You know, I mean, to say these things lifts us up, and you know, it touches parts of us that hasn't been touched before, which opens us up to, which opens our mind, you know, to receive and accept things that we wouldn't receive and accept before, even think about before, you know, and. But, you know, people, we're looking for solutions out there, because there's a lot of people want to know, what can I do? What shall I do? Some of them are afraid that they're not going to have a job anymore. I'm sure there's people probably under threat of losing their homes. There's people who have actually been either thrown out their homes because of a breakdown in a relationship during lockdown. Things have gone on top. So I imagine there's a lot more homeless people out there than usual. You know, there's people who weren't into drugs have suddenly found themselves taking crack and cocaine. God bless you. Hello? Yes.
Yes, sir.
Blessed love.
Yes, thank you. Just What's the name of the sister who is presenting this evening?
I beg your pardon?
The name of the presenter this evening?
The name of
The presenter.
the presenter,
Yeah, the broadcaster.
Tamra Gabriel. That's me.
Oh, sorry. I didn't realize that. Okay, Cameron, my apologies. My name is Sista Itricia. My big thing.
Okay, brother. Are you calling about what we're talking about here, about lockdown, how to detox from it?
That's correct. I'm calling from an organization named the Hibiscus Caravan Elderly Association. And we're looking to come out of lockdown digitally.
Digitally?
Yes, we are now connecting with our members using the various new media platforms.
Excellent. So give us some more. Tell us about your organisation.
Oh, Hibiscus Caravan.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, Hibiscus.
Yes, we've been around for 30 years or so. And our services are geared to meeting the needs of elderly people. And as you know, the lockdown is having a severe impact on elderly people. And as a day centre, the interaction which our members are able to engage in is completely gone. So we're now using the Zoom platform to deliver our exercise classes. So on Tuesdays, our elders are online doing chair exercises, and on Thursdays they do Zumba.
Yeah.
It is really great fun. But I think more importantly, what it allows is for them to reconnect with each other. Because I think that one of the serious impacts of the lockdown is how it affects us emotionally and mentally as a consequence of losing the intimacy of relationships that we normally enjoy.
No, that's brilliant because definitely with my community of Tai Chi and Qigong meditation, we do ours all on Zoom. So we are seeing that we're able to hold our community together with online. We know that we're still not, because not everybody's computer literate or even has a mobile phone, where we look at some of the elders, they don't have those resources, but that seems to be the way that a lot has shifted in so small space of time, that we're a larger community now on Zoom. So yeah, definitely so have you got different cohorts of different groups that are able to engage?
Yes, at the moment our services are being delivered, as I said, through Zumba and chair exercises. That's for people who are 80 plus, octogenarians, really elderly people. But we also deliver Zumba to a much younger age group, and that's a class of about 40 or so women. And once again, it's about the importance of the connection, being able to see and talk with each other. That makes such a difference. And I think that the other thing that's been quite a revelation to us is the extent to which families are now having to ensure that their elder members are able to negotiate some of these platforms. I mean, our experience has been one where we're talking to siblings or brothers or sisters in some cases, and they are setting up the individual who's going to take part in the exercise and making sure that they're going to be safe. So there's a lot that's happening in that instance. I think that relationship goes stronger, and the relationship with us as an organisation also goes stronger.
Brilliant. So tell all the listeners, how could they get involved?
Well, we have in fact got an event coming up this weekend.
Yes.
Called Bruck Out, and it's about brucking out from COVID.
Okay.
Meaning essentially ending the isolation. So we're taking our regular last Friday of the month social, which is called Let's Come Together, online.
Can you repeat that again? Because I didn't hear that. Say that again.
Yeah. Let's come together is
Okay.
our regular last Friday of the month social. Now, we would normally have a sound system and performance, we play some dominoes and some raffle. It's a real social event. And we're now going to try and recreate that online on Saturday with our event called Brackout. We've got Little Roy, Lawrence Francis, we've got comedy from Paris and the brother called Chaudhry Wonder. We have a really serious list of performers, all of whom are giving all of their time to come and entertain us and to show that we are able to reconnect and to begin to build the kind of network which we suspect are going to become increasingly important. Because I don't think that, personally, I don't think that this lockdown is necessarily going to end in June or the end of this year. I think that we're going to see that going on for much longer, and this effectively has become a learning curve for most of us, but to try and deliver services using different means, in other words, digital services. hibiscuscommunitycentre.co.uk is where you can go to receive information about that event. It's a free event, but it does require you to register. I repeat, we are hibiscuscommunitycentre.co.uk. Very simple to remember, and the registration process is seamless. All you require is your name, address, and telephone number.
Excellent. Did you get that down?
No, I was just. Could you repeat your email address again, brother?
Yes, our email address is Hibiscus Community Centre.
Right. Hibiscus, HIBISCUS.
Yes,
Hibiscus Community Center.
yes,
All in small cases.
all in lowercase,
All at your community center.
.co.uk.
There's no at in there. It's just Hibiscus Community Center.co.uk.
Yes, it's a website address. It's not an email.
Co.uk. Okay, brother. Yes, good people out there. I hope you got that email address. Hibiscus Community Center.co.uk. You know, some.
And this was for what day was that for?
This is for Saturday. This Saturday, the 30th of May.
Excellent.
Next Saturday, not this Saturday.
No, this Saturday.
Oh, this
The day after
Saturday,
tomorrow.
right.
First.
Okay,
Yeah.
right.
We're breaking out now. We're not hanging around any longer.
Okay, we broke out now.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, that's what I think it's in Redwood. Nothing.
Yeah. Well, it's good for the, it's good, there's a mental upliftment there, you know. Yes, broke out of that mentally, you know, we've got to do something. Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I think that with us being at home, not being able to do the things that you would normally do to
Yeah.
re-energize ourselves, to engage in our culture, that's been a very serious loss. And I think it's something that we have to work very quickly and very hard to ensure that we don't lose some folk along the way. You know, our cultural sense is extremely important. It's one of the critical components.
Well,
And we must practice it.
do you think this is the way forward now? Do you think that this Zoom thing is on the up, that it's going to grow and grow and grow, and there'll be less socializing going on?
I think that it's inevitable that we're going to see an increase in digital interface between people. Because we have to bear in mind that the lockdown has caused a whole lot of people to be working from home. And the cost associated with working from home is significantly less than having to maintain them in an office. So I think that there's a business that's going to be pushing this one forward, and a very strong business case. Because business at the end of the day is all about what is the bottom line. And if we can improve our bottom line by getting people to work at home, I think that's exactly what's going to happen. So the answer to your question, I can see only more of this happen.
Most definitely. Most definitely. I mean, I've got some reservations as to how much more we can do on Zoom without it then financially, you know, having some kind of impact on us. But while it's here and while it's a tool that, you know, I suppose we've all kind of given ourselves a little pat on the back, those of us that have got on board with Zoom, because at first we all thought, oh no, I don't know what to do, but it is a way forward. What's lovely about it is that, like you said, you can bring others to the platform. So if you know that you're computer literate, but the other members of your family are not, you can still engage everybody. I have seen a lot of families that have used it so that they can stay in contact with each other. And it's good that, you know, you can actually see each other's face. So, yeah, you know, I suppose this is a sign of our times, isn't it?
Yes, and I think it's a good thing because, you know, the digital 12+1 is becoming even more and more important. And as we go forward, we all, I think, have to have the skills to be able to negotiate these platforms.
Brilliant, brilliant. Now, well, thank you for calling in and sharing that. We'll give you the voice to just repeat again all the information so that ones can hear you.
Yes. It's Brookhouse, and it's on Saturday the 30th of May. It starts at 10 o'clock, and you can get further details and register at Hibiscus Community Centre, .co.uk. And big up to all of the Blessed Radio listeners who have been able to take this one in.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Stay blessed.
Yeah, Find Your Voice is really bringing the community together. Give thanks.
Yes, indeed. Give thanks and praise continually. We're going to have a little break
Yeah, let's.
and have a little music.
Mm-hmm. No worries.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
you,
you.
brother.
Keep rising and shining in your light.
Right. I hope you're going to join us on Saturday.
Yes, yeah. Do you know
Yes,
what? I'm
brother.
definitely gonna look into giving the information out and definitely try and pop in with my children, with the grandchildren. Yeah.
You're very welcome. Very welcome.
Excellent. One love.
Take care.
Hey, we're gonna have a bit of a
Yes.
music.
Yes, well,
Yeah.
Big ship Genoa, so colossal it caused dismay. Venezuela was the first port of call as we cruised and sailed away. The sea was rough and filled me with fear. The food was not the same, oh dear. The next stop was Genoa, and from there a train to Rome. Then again we embarked on the big ship, till we docked in England, our new home. Victoria, the underground, oh it gave me such a fright. With windows that looked into darkness, as if day had turned to night. Where were the birds of color? The buildings, the clothes, so drab and grey. And when we entered our home in Hackney, there were no maids to my dismay. I recall back home they said, go out far and wide, England Street paved with gold. For there your future is sunny and bright, though the winters are dark and cold. I may have been young and inexperienced, and yet I knew the other half had not been told. I repeat, I may have been young and inexperienced, and yet I knew the other half had not been told.
yes. Find Your Voice, Bless Radio. Yes, we've got another DJ in the studio. Would you like to tell us your name, brother?
Hello, it's Raggedy. I was on before you, Tamras.
Okay, Ragadi, blessed love, blessed love, blessed love. Yes, well, we're talking about lockdown and how's it affected you, brother?
Well, it sounds so, but it's all good. You know what I mean? But I have to start do what I've been told. Mum told me to stay in the yard most time. As you see, I do my show around there, so yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so you know, but we have to pass through because of something I have to do around here. So you know, but it's all good. You know, nice to see the eye. You know,
yeah, it's a beautiful thing to see you, brother.
You know what I mean? 'Cause you know you would have seen me in here, so you know.
Yes, yes, yes.
So and I usually work with Dougie as well.
Yes.
Yeah, so
I see you got your mask on, you know, you're
Yeah.
not taking any chances.
you know what I mean. So,
But I've got a mask as well, you know, it's around there some, especially when I get on the bus. You know, there's so many people on the bus. I said, boy, I'm gonna wear a mask just in case. I move with the spirit. When the spirit says, put your mask on, I put it on. Says, oh, you can take it off now, and I take it off. As we were talking about going within, having a relationship with yourself, and this is how I move now. I know, I listen to you know, the higher self, you know, the God self,
Yeah,
the good
most
self.
definitely, because, you know, I've heard a lot of controversy about wearing masks, not wearing masks, and about, you know, inhaling on your own carbon dioxide. You know, I can't remember which one it is, but
Carbon dioxide.
so we need fresh air. We need the fresh air. We can't. What we breathe out is supposed to come out. We can't breathe that back in. So we do have to take heed as to the measures, you know, how we do this. I'm not an expert, so I won't say what I don't know. But like yourself, I go with my spirit within. If I know I'm getting on a bus and I have to get on the bus, which I haven't had to, but I have done the bus, and my children like, don't get on the bus. I took the mask. Wore it. I did find it a bit stifling though.
Yes.
Yeah, and so,
warm.
yeah, I kind of like, I need to breathe. You know, if this thing was what they say it was, a lot more of us, you know, I mean, for me, I go, if the birds are still out, if the animals are still okay, then that's up my sign, you know. So it is up to the individual. I'm not saying don't, you know, do what you're doing, but always seek within, because we get our answers. You know, we know what we need to do from within, and well-being, you know. It doesn't harm you to maybe now take some bush tea, you know, all the sacred herbs that are out there. Just start researching so that you can do your own thing, you know. I know I've been drinking some different bush, going to Yaga on West Green Road and getting some bush tea. All of those things that we know are our remedies, let's use them. You know, the spirulina, let's do the Irish moss, you know, mix it with some cashew nuts or whatever, blend it all up, a combination of different things, and then mix it if you can't take the taste. If you're a soldier with a hard back, you will take the taste. A bit flunky like myself when it comes to certain things. You know, do what you have to do, you know, but know that all our healing remedies are here for us, you know. Plenty garlic in this time, and you know, thyme, I've started, I even put thyme in my water. So in my water, I'll put some lemon in and thyme and, and walk and do things like that now so that the healing looks different,
I'll tell you what I discovered during this lockdown is something to do with that, or what's that, oregano oil. I understand it's excellent for this virus that's been terrorizing people.
Okay.
Yes, oregano oil. It works very quickly, and and I understand there's 100% success rate. I was listening to a lot of people giving their testimonies and so forth, and so I had to phone my brother who's in Florida because his wife got the virus, and after celebrating a birthday party, which was a bit silly really, which he didn't join in, thank God, and I told him, go and get us some of that oregano oil, because they were trying this and that, and 4 or 5 days had passed, and not getting worse but not getting better. So I'm gonna phone him later to find out
how they do.
Yeah.
And I think it's very important that we keep a good check with each other, checking with each other, so that we do our best. You're looking at the mic. Okay, yeah. So we, really check in with each other. That's really important. I mean, has everyone been doing that? I hope you've all been checking in with each other so that, we're staying on top of this. That's really important.
Yes, that makes a big difference. I think I do believe I heard that a lot of neighbors were actually knocking on other neighbors' doors and find out if they needed any shopping and stuff like that. Someone even phoned me and asked me if I needed anything from the shops. Yes, which was very nice. Yes, so it has had a positive effect in some ways. And, what we need is the positive. Focus on the positive. There's always a negative there. We don't need to focus on that, because all it does is bring us down and keep us fragmented and separated and divided in ourselves and with our community. So please, brothers and sisters, let's focus on the positive. Know that this too shall pass. Everything passes. And it could be worse. Thank God it's not any worse than what it is. And let us rely on our Creator, because our Creator's got the whole world in His hands. The wicked can't get away with nothing. And so let's be good to one another. Because and money can't get you out of this neither. Let's be good, let's be loving, but we need the money as well to build our schools and to, to help our community in ways that it needs to develop, rather than putting our money into other people's hands where they get houses out of it and get businesses out of it and grow. Let us invest in ourselves, brothers and sisters, with love, with money, with giving each other time, listening to each other, respecting each other. Let's love one another, brothers and sisters.
Okay, we're going to play a track now, a bit of music, so that we can...
I, the little boy replied, I see the snow on Christmas cards. So with Mammy I went one day on a rowing boat to the big ship Genoa. So colossal it caused dismay. Venezuela was the first port of call as we cruised and sailed away. The sea was rough and filled me with fear. The food was not the same, oh dear. The next stop was Genoa, and from there, a train to Rome. Then again we embarked on the Navy, till we docked in London. With no maid in sight, I was given the job, but not to my delight. Peeling potatoes, gutting, scaling and seasoning fish, changing nappies and making bottles, sweeping, hoovering, shopping and laundering. I began to get resentful as I fell far away from heaven. At the tender age of 7, violently abused by my father, enslaved to domestic drudgery by my mother. With hope and prayers I played it cool, but the abuse continued, regardless of how well I did in school. When nigger and wog was flung at me, I simply used to laugh. Until Raymond Ricardo, my school friend, said, "They're taking the piss." That's a fact. From then on I fought in school nearly every day, and had to watch out for knife-wielding racist gangs as I traveled from A to B. Feeling robbed of my childhood and still wetting the bed, nerve tablets were prescribed for me. As I questioned the absence of Mammy's healing herb tea, then there was the hernia operation in consequence of lifting things far too heavy for me. Today, those nerve tablets are now called antidepressants, you see. Light shone through the darkness at the age of 12, as I became lead singer of a band called Tracks. Got the job after singing a poem in a cappella in the English literature class. With singing and dancing, my emotions were unshelved, keeping a balance through what was a living hell. I never looked forward to going home from school. I'd rather be in a boarding house, no matter how strict the rules. Running away was the constant thought of the day, but not knowing where to go, I felt compelled to stay. I refused to call the police. I refused to tell people in school. I refused to tell my relatives, but Mommy was no fool. And my siblings knew the excruciating times that I was going through. As if that wasn't enough, I also had to suffer the sight and sound of my father's regular violent beatings of my mother, our beautiful, intelligent mother, who sometimes overdosed on aspirin, a cry for help undercover. To help her indeed I was determined to do, but only mere words came out instead, as I encouraged Ma to leave Pa as I would as soon as I could. As an academic pupil, I thought I'd escape via university, but the old man even thwarted that after killing my school life at Christmas before I took my exams in June. More rejection came as I was ejected from the house that I could never ever call a home. And as I descended further into darkness, paradise was just a memory as hell became my home. Yes, I have to say it again. As I descended further into darkness, paradise was just a memory as hell became my home.
Yes, as hell became my home. That's a track from our album entitled Ex Gangsters Odyssey. You know, all proceeds from that album goes towards our charity from Rehab to Life Foundation. And in fact, at the moment we're living in rehab. You know, in this lockdown, this reminds me of rehab. This is a form of rehab because we're all being rehabilitated into supposed to be to a better way of life. Hopefully, to a better way of life. Well, it depends on the choices that we make. Yes, Sister Itricia.
So agree. You know, we are going to make a better world. We are now given an opportunity to rise. Oh, let me read His Majesty, because, do you know, whenever I've got this little, the wise mind.
Ah, that's on the front of our website.
Oh, is it? Hey. Oh, don't be phoning. Oh, was that you phoning me? I'm going, don't phone me while I'm on the radio. Yeah, but the wise mind. So, His Majesty says, let me see, I haven't got my glasses, so we'll just try. No person is able to understand and solve one's own problems better than oneself. Let us set our goals too high. Let us demand more of ourselves than we believe we possess. In our efforts to improve the standard of life of our people and to the flesh of our bones of our independence, we count on the assistance and support of others, but this alone will not suffice, and alone will only perpetuate Africa's dependence. We have passed the point where praying, prayful pleading serves any purpose other than to debate those who therefore abide any responsibility or power to influence events. We cannot always depend on others for our needs. So, in these words, what I take from these words is that we have to depend on ourselves. We have to go to that place deep within so that we can find some place, because there is a place that helps us to resonate with our true self. And I love this little book because it has all little bits on education, on peace, what world peace looks like. And it's a word that is a doing word. Peace is not a word that we just shout out. In order to have peace, we have to work at it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and we know that there is a warfare of something going on that might not be so peaceful. So if that is the case, what are we willing to do? What are you willing to do? And all of these things we need to ask if we are for the existence of life. Life in that place that was given to us by the Most High. If we have thrown that away, then we might take up the banner to allow somebody else to tell us what life should look like. But if you know you still come from that core, that place that knows what it is to feel nature, that knows what it is to feel the relationship with a deeper self, that knows what it is to still remember the stories of our ancestors and our elders, because those things really sets my soul on fire, when I know those things, And the passing, with Brother Dougie going forward, you can look at it as a negative, but we see it as a positive, because it's a journey of life.
Absolutely.
We don't come here to be here forever. When it's our time, it's our time. And we learn from that whole cycle of life. So what is it we truly want? And these are the questions that this time is allowing for us to ask.
Yes, this lockdown experience I've seen in many respects, it's a way of dumbing people down and controlling minds, and because what's happened is that the psyche has changed, and people, to me, coming out of lockdown, there'll be a lot of people more dependent upon the state than they were before lockdown, and people will be more reliant on being given directions instead of, as we say, listening to the inner, higher self within ourselves to direct us on the right path. And how can someone break out of the dumbing down process? Because it's only when you're awake, you're aware, and you say, well, look, this is really dumbing you down. Because lockdown, this is what it does to people. And also, I know the lockdown is a thing where you're not allowed to see what's going on. That's why you have to stay indoors. You mustn't see what's going on. And when you're let out again, it's all right. Everything what they supposed to have done has been done. So we can let you out now. This is all. And, this is how I understand it, to be honest with you. What are your takes on that, sister?
Well, like I said before, we know there's a bigger agenda going on. And I'm not going to put anything into anybody's minds. Because I believe, or should I say I don't believe, because I never believe anything. I know that what speaks to me in a place that says to guard myself. And whenever we're told that we have to guard ourselves, it means that we have to have a deeper awareness. We have to be more vigilant. We have to take action. We have to be the soldier that we were called to be. Our ancestors, if we want to even go to the journey of 400 years and what we have travelled through that journey, our ancestors died for us to be here today. Let us not have to die for a cause that is fruitless. Let us stand up and take our positions so that we can show off our best selves. And our best selves to give to others so that they can show off their best self. It might mean we have to put the work in, but surely you didn't come here to think that doing a 9 to 5, making money, going out and just socializing was going to be the end all of your lot. We've still got Mother Africa.
Absolutely.
Mama.
I was just going to say, do you think it's a good idea to really get entrenched in this society, or is like you said, Mama Africa, is it time to leave now? I mean, are we going to get real now and start leaving because getting entrenched and making plans for future generations to live here? I mean, is this it? I mean, this is certainly what's your take on that, Sister Itricia? I mean, I know that I'd like
you know
to be,
the answer already.
Yes, we know the answer.
You know the answer already.
Okay.
And you know what it is that from very early on my journey, I knew that this wasn't home. And even though it is home, because wherever you go on the earth, it belongs to you, the original people, the melanated people.
Yes.
So wherever we travel, because we are the world, we put everything in the world. But when the world isn't, or parts of the world is looking more unwell than others, it might be a sign of us needing to do something different.
You know, I just had a thing come up there just now, like the spirits of the ancestors spoke to me and said, look, we went through all that so that you can all go safely home again. You know, all that they went through was so that we could get back home safely, because the dream, the desire, the feelings were always to go home, to return home. Let's do it. Let's go home.
Let's go home. Let's plan. Do you know that creativity that we have? We are very creative people. You know, you can make something out of nothing. So let's see if we, in getting to know ourselves, we can ask some of those questions that might just switch on another light bulb. You know, it's never too late. You can change career moves. There are many ones that are in the Gambia, that are in Ghana, that are, that are out there, even in the Caribbean. If it is that, you have to find, stop off points, why not start traveling? We was never meant to stay in one place. That wasn't us. When we travelled and circled the world, where we came and put pyramids all over the world, where we left evidence to show that we have been throughout the world. And now we're here a bit complacent. So maybe, this is a wake-up call for all of us to look at how we can start moving again.
Absolutely. Yes, sisters and brothers, I think...
the little boy replied.
I think our time is up in the studio here.
Woo!
And we've got 1 minute, I believe. But so the message is, yes, let's go home. Let's go home. Africa, we're going. Abyssinia, Kush, let's go home. Africa awaits its creators. And we are the creators. No one else but us. We are the creators. And instead of investing our money here and our energy here, let's go to Africa and invest it there instead.
Oh.
We need to shape it. We don't have to wait on other people to make it so like over here before we think about going over there. Over there is better than over here. We've got everything over there.
Oh, fresh food.
I've heard Chinese men going over there with £50,000. If you're thinking about money, with $50,000, and in 3 years it accumulated to $5 million.
Wow!
I didn't know you could manage to buy a gold mine for $50,000 and mine the stuff and even pay for the local soldiers to escort the gold back and take it to wherever they took it to transport it to where it's going to go so that they can deposit it and get paid, but in 3 years, 50,000 turned to 5 million. And but there's better than that for us there, brothers and sisters. You know, there's that love, there's that peace, there's a feeling of being at home, being one with ourselves and one with the spirits of our ancestors. You know, that's a big journey. It's taken us 400 years to get back there, and we're still struggling, but we'll get there, brothers and sisters. We'll get there. We just got to encourage each other with love and honor and respect and compassion and forgiveness by the grace of the Most High. Blessed love, and have a good night, everybody.
Give thanks.
Give thanks and praise, and I'll see you next week. Sister Itricia, would you like to close on the proceedings with anything?
Do you know, let's just say that we know who we are. We know in our hearts what it is that we need to do. And it's been an honor to sit here and find your voice for our brother, Dougie. Hey, I hope you're pleased with us. I hope you're pleased with us. So for all of the listening ears out there, we've given you, I hope, we've given you something that you can reflect on, that you can embrace, and that you can really path your journey, your family's journey. Something that you can maybe give forward as an offering to the ancestors. And nothing happens overnight. But love yourselves. Become your first best friend. Seek the support of a community. Pick up from the call that we had for Hibiscus, the event on Saturday. Listen to Bless Radio and other radio stations that warms your heart. But most of all, be at peace. Be at peace with your inner self, your higher self, and the love of your people. That I bid you well. Night, night. Enjoy your evening.
Peace. Give thanks to Natty Radio Controller for running things. Blessed love.
Blessed love. Woo! That's a wrap.
Well, that's it.
Refugees in their own land and negligence bias. There is a way to make conditions better to live in. There's no way that we should continue on accepting the worst things and the most slummish type of housing. But I dare don't go in there and land they're browsing. Let inspiration of how to fix this thing be arousing. Don't expect the powerless leaders in power to do nothing. Tradition, we own discipline, we self that is right, so we need the whole thing.